Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to Trap House Garage. Today is finally the day we're going to be picking up the drivetrain for my Fox body. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is yet. I'm going to leave that for a surprise for when we get back with it. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. Today's, like I said, finally the day. I've been waiting a couple weeks now. We're about to leave here to go get it. And yeah, I'll get back with you guys once we return and see what all we got to do to get this thing in here. I guess it's time to reveal what I went with. I'm sure it won't be a surprise to many, but here it is. Yes, I know, it is an LS motor. It is a 5.3 out of a truck.
Like to make Fords go fast.
With a rebuilt 4L60E. And yeah, it's pretty clean. It runs good. Fired it up at the guy's shop. Sounded healthy. So I started tearing it apart a little bit, just getting the manifolds off of it and stuff. I'm going to pull the trans off of it here in a couple minutes, and we're going to put the new mounts on it and drop it in and see where I need to go from there. But speaking of mounts, they also came in. These are basically, they're the same exact thing. They were just a little cheaper because I'm cheap. They are, like I said, basically the same thing as Dirty Dingo mounts, to use a stock K-member. And they're pretty nice. And I already have the 4.6 mounts that bolt to them right here and right here. I picked those up also, which will bolt right to these and bolt over here on the 5.3 and should drop right in, hopefully. Gonna try to use the truck pan and hope that it doesn't hang too low. But we'll find out here in a couple minutes whether or not that's going to be the case. If it does hang too low, I'm going to have to go to an F-body pan or a CTSV pan. But I'm hoping I don't need to do that, save a little bit of money. But yeah, like I said, I went with a 5.3 4L60E. Not the greatest transmission in the world, but it'll do for now. And yeah, engine's surprisingly cleaner than I thought it would be. And I'll probably be pulling the truck intake off at some point because it's hideous looking. I mean, I do have a cowl hood on the car, so it might clear. It'll probably clear, but I think it's ugly. But yeah, so I'm going to tear this tranny off here and get the mounts on it, and we'll go from there, and we'll be back with you. Cool. We got the transmission taken off of it. Not really too much I can look at. You know, it looks like a transmission. But kind of went a little overboard and forgot to film. It is in. It's where it's gonna sit. Motor mounts actually worked great, the conversion mounts. I mean, it literally dropped right in like it came in this car. I mean, it was simple. It fell in, basically. You know, it bolted right down in there. It's in. I'm going to mess with, well, it came with a harness that was already, I mean, it's ready to go. You hook these 3 wires up and it'll start and run with fuel. But I'm going to do some MacGyvering here and kind of hide some of this, pull this fuel rail off and this, and tuck it in here and bring it out through. That way it's not on top of the intake, and plus my 3-inch hood with this truck intake, the harness is touching the hood enough to where you can't really get it down on. So by routing it different, we'll be alright. I'm going to have to zip this dude off, and then the hood will fit, surprisingly. The alternator and everything clears. Don't really have that much to mess with. Not going to put the transmission in tonight, regardless. But I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I really want to get a converter ordered for it before I throw it in, instead of doing it a week down the road, have to pull it all back apart. But I haven't quite made up my mind yet. we'll see what happens with that. But that's pretty much it. I mean, it was super simple. Yeah, I mean, it dropped right in. Like, if this were a Ford motor, it wasn't hard at all. Didn't have to fight with nothing. These mounts were great. And now, I do want to show you guys a part number, because, as I said earlier, these are like knockoff. Not trying to take anything away from Dirty Dingo, but they are like $180, I believe. And these are, like I said, a knockoff. They're the same exact thing, just a cheaper version. And they were $80 shipped. You know, free shipping, 80 bucks total, that's it. So I'm going to show you guys a part number here, or at least what they're called, in case anybody is wondering. I don't want to show my address, but there is what they're listed as. I bought these on eBay. I think they were cheaper on there, but you can go right to TSP's website. But for whatever reason, I think on their website, they're $120. But like I said, I got them off eBay because I'm cheap, and they were only $79.99. Which, I was going to try to build my own mounts, but it saved me a ton of headache, and the motor fell right in. And it's got an 1.5 inches of adjustment forward and backward. I mean, where it's sitting right now is pretty perfect, and it's kind of hard to tell, but there's a ton of room to get a transmission in it and do the bell housing bolts from the top, which will help out a lot, provided the transmission goes and fits where it's supposed to, which I think, yeah, it should be fine. But we'll cross that path when we get to it. Probably gonna...
That's $9 sent you hours.
Yeah, yeah, it's... You know, I'm all about building my own stuff. I've built motor mounts before, and I'll save money where I can, but $80 and saved me hours of headache and trial and error pulling the motor in and out to get my own mounts built. I felt like it was more than worth it. And now seeing that it dropped right in, simple, everything lined up perfect, I think it's a great budget idea. And I don't think I mentioned this, but these conversion mounts are for a stock K member. You're recommended or supposed to, whatever, use a Cadillac CTS-V pan, or you could use an F-body pan off a Camaro or a Trans Am LS car. I left the truck pan on it just to see if it would clear, and it's kind of hard to see. I mean, it hangs down, I wouldn't say low. It's kind of hard to tell here, but there's probably a good 8 inches, 7, 8 inches, something like that, between the pan and the ground. Now, this car is stock front suspension. It isn't lowered or anything. If it was a lowered car, you would probably run into issues there. But with it being stock front suspension, and I think it's going to be fine. So I'm going to leave the truck pan on and let it ride. And I don't think there's really anything else. You know, like I said, I bought the harness already cut down, fuse panel in it and everything, ECM, bunch of wires already labeled of stuff that doesn't really need hooked up. You know, your OBD2 sensor, your, tack wire and stuff like that. Some I'll hook up, some I won't. I do need to figure out, this is a drive-by-wire motor, which that got screwed up. It was supposed to be a drive-by cable, but I guess I don't have any choice now but to make it work. I do have the pedal assembly over there and everything, so shouldn't be too bad, but we'll see when I get to that. I need to figure out my fuel setup, because I do have a 10 AN feed with an 8 AN return, and this is a returnless fuel rail. But you can run a Corvette filter regulator, which is probably what I'm going to end up doing. Run it up here somewhere and take my Big 10 down in there, run it into a single, run that over to the rail, and then unhook my return. I won't use my Aeromotive regulator anymore. Unhook my return here and feed that into the Corvette regulator. we'll see. I gotta get some fittings ordered if I go about it that way, or I'll just order aftermarket rails and use my fuel setup as it is, because it wasn't cheap, and I'd prefer to have a return system. But other than that, I mean, is there anything else? I mean, it's pretty straightforward, honestly. It's like it was meant to go in this car.
The mounts aren't labeled. Who cares?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the mounts aren't labeled, and they didn't come with any instructions. They can really only go one way. Just make sure you pay attention. I did have the one mount flipped upside down. Or forward to backward, it was flipped like this. Once I got that figured out, which actually Lance figured that out, it was smooth sailing from there. We literally picked the engine up, and like I said, it dropped right in. Stock Fox body from your heater core, your long line will easily work. Your short line obviously won't anymore. I'll have to buy another hose for that, which ain't no big deal. It's a couple dollars at the parts store. Just make another one. Stock Fox body, well, it's not a stock radiator, but it's a stock location radiator for a Fox body. Your in will go from here to here, so that'll be no big deal. The return side of it, you know, is all the way over there, so I'm gonna have to snake that through here and hit it right here. Shouldn't be too big of an issue. Just have to make my own hose basically, which I'm not really worried about. There's not too much I am worried about at this point. The biggest thing was I was hoping the motor wouldn't have any issues trying to get it in. I do need to get either order manifolds or cut these up a little bit and make my own to get it out the back. I'm not sure what I'm going to do there yet either. I've got plenty of time to get this car done, but I'll probably start getting stuff ordered here pretty directly. Check out some aftermarket manifolds and, you know, go from there and see what exactly I want to do. Yeah, I really don't think there's much else to talk about right now. I didn't have any issues. Everything, surprisingly, with my luck, or our luck, it went together smooth. You know, thankfully I had my buddy Lance here to help me get it in there and get everything situated, but it was simple. What's that?
For some reason this is happening.
Yeah, he's the one that has kept me motivated to get an LS in this and get it done. Like I said, there's some people that won't be happy. I know a lot of you diehard Ford guys are going to be, you know, pissed that another Fox body is getting an LS, but you can't deny how cheap they are for these junkyard motors and how easy they are to make power. I've had small block Fords. There was a completely forged 408 in this car, and I spent way too much money on it when I could literally take a stock bottom N53 and make a ton of power and not have to build the motor. I mean, will it last forever? No, of course, I'm not saying that. But, you know, a 302, a stock 302, most guys make about 500 and they come apart, which, been there, done that. And a 351, you're still going to need to build it to make, you know, 8,000-9,000 horse. And I've been down that road and spent way too much money. And I'm kind of a cheap person. I'm not rich by any means. So I felt like it was time to throw an LS in it and just have fun. Like I said in the previous video, I don't want it being a drag car anymore. It's going to be my cruiser and just something to have fun in, something to race. It won't be incredibly fast or anything. It'll just be fun, something I can pack the family in. Yeah, it's 100% going to be a street car. I mean, it's not going to... It might make 600 horse on the dope, and I'll be perfectly happy with that. So, yeah, I guess we're going to end the video out there. I might tidy up some of that wiring here tonight. We'll see how it goes. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to shut it down here. And... yeah, as always, God, I can't even talk. As always, please comment, like, subscribe, share with your friends. I'd greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you guys on the next one.